I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Can you mute yourself, Anita? We get some background noise.
Yep.
Right. Hey, welcome. Nice to see everybody again. Hold on. And it's like this one. All right, I think we're going now. All right, so this is one of our last meeting before we vote on the warrant articles. So last week I had sent this. Yes. So I'll let Cheryl, you wanna go through it?
Yeah, we can do that. So we just did a simple analysis where we took what it would cost for a patrol officer based on years of experience. This is all estimated. And then we used Rick's knowledge on what he felt was being used for overtime between Tiffany and other officers. And we did a estimate with an average and came up with an amount as to what we thought would be used this year. And then we just put it into a simple graph.
Questions on this?
So the dollar amounts, I'm gonna know the paying or total overtime projected, that's without adding a new patrol.
Yes, that's what, because Rick felt that Tiffany was about 6 hours a week and about 8 hours a week for other officers were overtime for covering for Tiffany.
And if you wanna know the whole cost of having an officer, you'd have to add.
That's,
Right, because that's not.
yeah,
And
yeah, it's just salary.
insurance.
Yep.
And we weren't always covering Tiffany's shift with overtime either. Sometimes we'd pull an SRO, sometimes I would pull a lieutenant, sometimes I'd cover it myself. So there were other manpower overtime, if you will, that didn't cost us anything, but we were taking other people away from their job. So it wasn't just all overtime.
So, just give us the bottom line there. I see all these numbers. I'm probably not reading them correctly. What's the bottom line?
We figured we would save $44,000 and $44,000
$26.
It's been a long day. That's a projected savings. But if we were to hire somebody, we'd have to have a salary, which we don't know how many years experience they have. We did top tier plus salary and benefits. You're probably talking, 135. You did bottom tier plus salary and benefits. You're probably talking 95. So there's a little bit of a window here that just
Yeah, I understand.
can't answer that, but then you take, say it's 95 and you subtract 44, you're gonna appropriate 50,000
Yes.
potentially for,
I realize that. Okay, so you're gonna have $50,000 to $70,000 additional money that
correct.
we need. But on the other hand, it sounds like we really need this officer, right, Rick? I mean,
We currently are not providing the level of service we should when it comes to investigations. For instance, we do zero drug work, which is,
By that you mean?
which is inexcusable because we don't have the manpower to do it. Tiffany can't do drug work in a uniform, in a marked car while on patrol.
I see what you don't want to cover, no looking around for.
It doesn't even need to be undercover. She just needs the time to do it, and she needs to be doing it in plain clothes, taking the time to go to Augusta, work with MDEA, cultivate informants, all those things, because Tiffany was at MDA just like I was.
And you feel there's a huge need for that in our town?
Yes, in every town, not just Oakland.
Yes. And I agree with you
Not
actually,
all.
but I-
Yeah,
Town, but it is a big town here.
Yeah.
It's just hidden a lot more. People try to hide it a lot more.
so, yeah, no, and not just with drugs, but there are cases, and Tiffany put together some numbers, and she's gonna go over here, if you guys want to hear them, of cases she can get to, and some she can't get to, backlog of sex cases, things like that.
Oh, I think it's important for us to know
Right.
what you need, because it's really, the money's important, but it's not the only factor.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of what goes on in our town from the results of drugs and stuff like that. It's terrible, and, you know, I also agree that it ruins people's lives and family lives too.
Well, drugs are the big one to me because drugs are the driving factor behind property crimes, behind violence, but everything is fueled by mental illness, drugs, and alcohol. Those are the three things that fuel most crimes.
It sounds like we're not as efficient because she doesn't have the time.
Not at all, no.
So are we recognized by the drug community as being weak on drug crime here? I'm not making fun of.
No, I know what you're saying.
But
Yeah, no, go ahead.
what I have found is you have Waterville, and I get along great with those guys over there that work for that agency. They're out there doing search warrants, and they're hitting these places, and they're actively getting drugs off the street. Granted, it's going to be a continuous battle. We're never going to be able to stop the drugs. However, those guys know, they don't hear that Oakland's executing search warrants, or Main Drugs here with Oakland's assistants executing search warrants. So what I found recently is a lot of those people from Waterville are now coming into this town and dealing their drugs here and setting up shop here.
They also have Operation Hope too, which is to be a deterrent for doing stuff there.
Yeah.
Or if we don't have that here.
We usually send them.
Operation Hope's a bit of a man.
Yeah, we've sent some people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and we have a great relationship with MDEA because I work there, Tiffany worked there, and Officer Chilton worked there. And it'd be nice to be able to free up Tiffany to actually team up with them and
Did a lot more.
get a lot more done. Yeah.
So you have some numbers?
So I can talk about, in my inbox right now, I have 3 sexual assault cases that I haven't been able to complete. One of them is almost a year old because it required, I've interviewed the victim, I've interviewed the suspect. However, our district attorney's office requires us to interview all witnesses. So if I interview someone and they said, well, this person knows about this, I have to track that person down. And so a lot of these people don't live in town. One of the problems I've run into is just because the crime is committed here in town, doesn't mean that the people who committed it live here. So I then have to go out of town, which if I'm working patrol, I can't go do that because that leaves the town without coverage. Because I'm on day shift, so that typically means I'm working patrol by myself. So if I go do these interviews, I leave the town without coverage. So that's been one of the big problems. A lot of the things like Chief talked about for drugs, it's harder to find these people when they're actively using. They're not going to sleep in the same bed every single night. They're bouncing between here, Waterville, Augusta, Skowhegan. They're going everywhere. And the opportunities that I have to interview these people for one of my felony thefts of almost $40,000, they got put in jail on an arrest warrant, and I was unable to get to the jail because I had no one to cover me to go do the interview. So until I can find them again, because they're in the wind again, the case sits there and there's no resolve for that victim of all the money being stolen.
I'll pause it. I gotta pause this for a minute from recording so we can talk about something. and I'll fill you guys in later.
You have an officer, I know you mentioned before, sometimes they're alone and they go on to a call that they really should have somebody with them.
Yeah, fire hunt.
Some idea how many times that happens, a week or a month?
So anytime between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., the overnight person's alone. Then on Saturdays and Sundays, the day person's alone most of the day. From 5 a.m.
2 a.m. to either 4 or 5 p.m. and
Yeah.
there's only one
2
person.
days plus every night, about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the best time to be selling drugs between two.
Yeah, that's when most of it happens. They usually open shop around noontime, 1 o'clock, and go right to it. Play Xbox and go to bed. So
on a per capita basis, for a town of, I don't know, how many people do we have in our town?
6,300.
Yeah, so a town of our size, how do we measure up in terms of the amount of police officers we have on a comparative basis?
we're under the IACP standard by 2 or 3 officers. But I'm not asking for 2 or 3 officers. That's an IACP standard. They recommend 2 people on, times, that generally don't have that all the time.
So if you hire another officer and they're gonna fill this void of, there's only one officer on at night and on weekends, how does that help?
It doesn't. We're just asking for an officer now, so our detective full-time step in where she was working patrol.
And it would offset, so right now the day shift lieutenant is usually here on Tuesdays through Fridays. In the summertime, if all the school resource officers are here, I was doing the detective stuff, so I was here Monday through Thursday covering that gap, so if they had an emergency call, I would just throw my vest on, my gun was always on, I'd throw my vest on and go and assist them. So it's not like they weren't, if it was like a domestic or anything like that, I was going to it as well. So if chief wasn't here or lieutenant wasn't here, I would still jump in and go to these calls with them.
It's not gonna help us with our coverage. It's just gonna allow our detective to be.
That's the detective.
Be a detective.
Yeah.
The cost for that for us. And you break it down between 6,300 people who know it.
Fall back. To add on your question, Kelly, we do better in the summertime when our SROs are back.
Like $20, $20.56 a piece.
What was that question? I didn't understand it.
I wanted to know what it costs per capita, right? $6 and
$20.56
$20.56 to add on people's back.
annually.
That would add on to $100,000 house, is that what you're doing?
I did 130, yeah, 130,000.
$20 on $100,000.
Yeah.
Many years ago, Chief Stubbett, wasn't Chief Stubbett then, I think he was Roman, he was quoted in the paper, there was a bunch of perverts running around preying on young girls, high school girls, calling them and making arrangements with them and preying on them. And Stubbett was quoted in the Sentinel as saying that he was chasing them pretty bad and they were running them out of town, and he was quoted as saying he wanted them, the first thing they thought of if they were going to go and use a young girl was not doing it over because you're going to get caught. That was a long time.
I was a lot more cocky then.
But I think that word gets around about the drug people or anybody that's going to do stuff. If you can get away with it in Oakland, why go to Walmart and get caught doing it?
Right.
And go to Oakland and get away with it. And so
A perfect example is that was during COVID because no one was getting stopped for speeding. And you look KMB, it was like NASCAR.
yeah.
Racetrack.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
So this is the hardest issue in the budget for me, actually. Because I firmly believe that law enforcement and protection of the citizens in Southwold is the priority for
all of them that gets stuff that way. I know that in the committee that I serve on in Augusta, the Criminal Justice Committee has just authorized 4 additional state troopers to work in the executive protection detail. That's a detail that protects the governor and the chief justice when she goes somewhere. And the reason I asked for those extra state troopers was that investigations take longer now than they did 5 years ago or 10 years ago. It used to be fairly simple. Now it's no longer simple. Do a case and run it through the court and get the bad guys put away. It takes long. So the money, everything tells me that the money makes sense. But I recall one of the first meetings we had that I sat here and said, this is not the year to buy new things because of the revaluation. And a third of the people in town are going to be really upset with the bill they get. So I find myself in a position where I guess if it were just up to me, I would leave this till the very end. We'd go through and we'd settle on the rest of the budget. Not that I want to see this as a separate article, because I don't want to hear the abuse of the police department in a separate article asking for a new person. I'm willing to put it into the budget, but I think we should leave it till the very end, till we see what the rest of the budget looks like, and then decide. That's my personal thing.
We're kind of at the very end. I said we're kind of at the very end.
Well done, then we go.
Well, I mean, we vote on the warrant articles next week.
Yeah. Is there anything that might change between now and next week as far as income, outgo? Well, maybe we are at that point.
We're here.
So I'm shut up a little bit.
And say just for productivity, and I mentioned it the last time I was here, is you won't find me out doing traffic stops very often because I am doing what I can to keep up on cases. Which I absolutely hate because if I'm in uniform, I want to be out stopping speeding cars on KMD and a lot of places I tend to hit Smithfield Road and High Street. Those are my top 2 that I typically hit on. I have permission from some family members out on Smithfield Road to tuck away and hide and get speeders. But it's not very often I'm out doing that. If I'm caught up on interviews, then I might go out. When we were working a case with another agency a few weeks ago, I was out looking for specific people and I was sitting on that road pulling over other violators as I saw it. But I'm not as productive patrol wise as I would be if I was actively just straight patrol. But there's no, for instance, you brought up investigations and everything and how long they take. Case that came in at the end of last year was for child pornography. The template alone, which the AG's office has created templates for search warrants for us on certain cases, the template alone for a child pornography case is 32 pages long. That's just the template for a search warrant to follow. And you have to go through each page individually and put particulars in. And then you still have to find another agency with usually it's state police to download these phones. And then you have to go through all of these photos and images and messages individually, while also dealing with the harassment calls and the domestics and everything else in between. So rather than me focusing on the victim of child pornography, I'm also dealing with those other types of calls. So the victims aren't getting the main focus when they should be.
There is no more powerful argument than to say that you can spend more time child practices. that you need to staff.
Oh.
Yeah. Just like that. That rings a bell for everybody in Augusta.
Yeah, we'll cut up now.
So the police department budget was going up 5.5%. If we add in the new officer.
At what
Plus
rate?
the benefits.
See, you took in numbers, I don't know what you put in for number.
Right?
Right.
And then we did the employee child. The new, or we did single. With an HRA. So 407. So we were at 5.5, now we're at 12.2. And we lowered. Time by 40,000. So we went from 190. Was it?
When I find
The 195, yeah, I put it down to 16. So that's kind of what it looks like. If we were to go, I mean, we could hire someone without a lot of experience and pay a lower salary, but
That's just on the personnel services section, right?
correct.
Not the total.
Well,
Not the total budget.
Overall, yeah,
Who's the French?
yeah. Retirement, social security, like, yeah. Hmm. What you wanna do?
Can you go down please to the permanent section?
I don't know. Um,
We see more and more violence around us, more and more homeless, more and more drug problems. Um. I am really against going in and add more taxes to the people, but I think this is where I really think that we need to protect our citizens. Yes, it's gonna cost us more. Um, we can look through other parts of the budget and see if we can find something there and make all the time ourselves deaf, but I think personally, we need another police officer, not because I'm partial to the police department, but because as we see the violence and more kids and I mean, I do a kid all day long, and I do have these kids, where are you gonna be tomorrow? Kids are tricking you, couch surfing, kids get in the car and they reek of weed, and it's just like, wow. At 15, what's that? What's that? So that's just my personal opinion.
so we are in negotiations in the fall with the union. The next, it'll be a 3-year contract.
Yeah.
Probably,
I just talked with them yesterday.
yeah, is there any way to redo the schedule? Could that be a negotiating topic to do the schedule so that there's 2 people on at least the weekends and Friday nights and, when there seems to be.
We don't have. I don't think there's any way with the number of people we have to handle that. what I've been trying to do is utilize our part timers for a second person on during the day on the weekends.
Yes.
It's hit or miss because they have job live, but I can try to.
Yeah,
We can do it in the summertime. With SROs. Yes.
absolutely.
Winter's tough, winter, winter,
That's 27 years ago.
right.
Yeah, we say summertime.
Yeah.
So,
7 weeks.
yeah, so,
If we only get started on something, you'll have to come back to put on food pie.
yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, this summer we were actually incredibly busy. We had DNL was robbed. That took up quite a bit of time, a lot of interviews, going to the lab. Canvassing houses, that takes time, going door to door to ask people about video footage. If they witnessed anything, what did they see? That took weeks.
A lot of chases, people don't stop for the police anymore.
Yeah, you were chasing a guy through the woods down.
I even got chased.
We had a minor child under the age of 5, I won't say their exact age, that got rushed to Portland. So I spent a few days down in Portland doing interviews and then back here doing more interviews. Major Cries from State Place assisted me with that one because we weren't sure if the child was going to live or not through their injuries. If I was working patrol, that wouldn't have taken that much work. That was the summer when the SROs were covering the road. I got lucky on that one, but I think I drove to Portland 2 or 3 times on that one.
And without going into a lot of detail, I'd also like to be able to dedicate the detective to doing yellow flag laws. I don't know how much everyone knows about yellow flag, but it's a 6-7 hour process. When you're on patrol, you just can't do it. We always end up calling someone in for overtime anyways. It'd be nice just to call the detective in. Now with red flag, it's gonna be doubly busy. So
Do you get many calls on that stuff?
a lot. Yeah, we've had to build a new evidence room just for guns. Well, no, add on we took our interview rooms and turned it into a gun closet just because we're taking so many guns.
Holy cow.
In one yellow flag, we took 62 guns from one person.
Wow.
That filled our entire evidence room here. I
That's
couldn't
great.
fit anything
And it's
else.
gonna get worse with red flag, 'cause now family members,
Right.
so it's, I mean, we still have to be the ones to go take the guns and everything, but, it's gonna double our.
And Officer Chilton and I have both done the yellow flags so far for this agency. And the first one I did alone took over 6 hours. We had to call someone in to cover because when you do those, you can't leave the person that you've taken into protective custody. And you have to type up a PC affidavit. They have to be interviewed by Spurwink, which you have to be there during the interview. It's all through video, like Zoom. It's a minimum of 4 to 6 hour process depending on how bad the person is. And they don't always have someone immediately available because they're helping another agency with the evaluation. So we have
So you have to stay with that person the whole time while you're waiting for someone
the
to.
only time you are not with that person is when you are going to get the paperwork signed by either a judge or justice of the peace to sign the court documents.
You're a rabbit hole. Yeah.
Yes.
So, say you get a massive amount of guns and that person's never gonna get it back. Do you have to send it to the state? Or
There's a process. We send notice. And if nobody responds, we can destroy the guns. There's a place up in Bangor, we take them to be destroyed.
I think you can resell them.
Right, you sell it?
No,
By law,
no,
Oh, really?
no, it's donated back to us. Can't.
Wow.
That would be a good way to generate revenue right there.
that would be nice. Yeah, but there's unfortunate laws that restrict us on
That's why I'm asking.
firearms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say you worked on taking somebody's guns alone?
I
I would say that's
We
not
have
the safe thing to do.
There protection orders. One of the big things for protection from abuse orders have been weapons relinquishments now, on top of the red flag and the yellow flag that we have now. And I will not go serve a protection order unless I have another officer to go with me. Because not only are you taking these persons' firearms, which they they really do have the right to keep them, but there's a court order saying we have to remove them. That makes them angry. They're mad that they're getting the court order when they don't believe that they should. And not only do you then have to collect all of those guns, you then have to go into the system and run them all to make sure they're not stolen. You then have to create a report, enter each individual gun, label them for evidence, and then place them into evidence lockers where they sit until the evidence tech comes. It's usually either Jerry or Lieutenant C. Royce who then have to move them into final storage.
It's a lot of that, but for most of our, what's your opinion in terms of the quality of these requests for yellow flag interventions? Are they, a lot of them just family members being mad at each other, or many of them were really legitimate concerns?
So yellow flags are more so, red flags are family. So we haven't really come into contact with that yet, or at least I haven't because it's so new.
Yeah, those are pretty.
The yellow flag though is if we take someone into protective custody because they're in danger of harming themselves or someone else. If there's a threatened use of a firearm or a weapon, that's when we do the yellow flag.
Well, they're pretty legitimate.
It's automatic.
Yes.
The red one, the red flag part would be less likely.
Yeah, I agree with something.
I think
There's trainings coming up on the red flags. That became law and no one was trained on it. So state police is actively starting the trainings for agencies. I'll be going to a training on the 10th to learn about it.
So, including the new officer on our little budget summary sheet, we were at 0.77% increase. So by adding that one officer with benefits and everything, it added about $100,000 to the budget. So we were at $38,000 increase here net. Now we're at 136, which brings us to 2.7% increase. But again, we can't use the fund balance stuff, so we actually have to make up this one. But by putting that in, it's $60 on $100,000 valuation. Total for everything. Including the office. So divide that by 4, things. And one of the things too, just to let everybody know, we are not committing taxes in July. It's probably going to be August sometime, because there's a lot of, they're pretty much done boots on the ground, but they gotta do data entry, and then our assessor and assistant assessor need to check. And so we're gonna do, instead of having we're gonna have 4 due dates, but I added in, taxes shall be payable in full or installments due on September 30th or 30 days after commitment, November 30th or 60 days after commitment, and then January 28th and March 30th. So those are gonna be the due dates with this coming year. Probably should have got council approval, but we're meeting next week, so. Nicole and I talked about this. And the state has, in this month's Town and Country, Maine Town and Country magazine, they have the 7% interest rate for next year's taxes. That's Article 3. So we'll vote on that next week. All right, back to PD. Yay or nay?
I vote to put it in the budget for now. See where we end up.
Okay.
If we have to take something out, we can look at everything and not just this.
I can go
I'd
through it.
rather not up top a mile of roads and have more protection.
I'm ready for with that. I'd rather the citizens feel safer.
I think, keeping these kids safe and being on their case so that they don't get in trouble is paramount thing.
Yeah, and I can go through the budget again and And I just have a question, for the department. So in the last 2 years, it's obviously been at least a year that you've been short staffed. Has it been longer than that?
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
Sure.
Have you seen an increase in either crimes that you haven't been able to respond to or things like that? Do you have any kind of ballpark figure as far as what that might look like?
Yeah.
So they always get responded to. The problem that I have found is because I'm working a patrol schedule right now, the problem I have found that if a case comes in on my day off, I don't necessarily get notified until the next shift that I work again, which puts me behind. Anything that has anything to do with children, so DHS, they have a policy of how soon they have to interview the families when a child is involved. I can't interview the families with DHS. I have to do it when they're not present because any interview I do can get suppressed in the courts system. So if I'm not notified and I can't go do my interviews before they do, then those people already know what I'm going to go interview, and they're either going to lawyer up or they're not going to talk to me because DHS is involved. And it has put me behind in cases. So there's been times where DHS will call and say, hey, we have this child abuse case. They go to it. I'm not notified until, 24, 48 hours later, puts me behind, and then they don't want to talk to me or they hide from me. If I just show up on a whim before DHS gets to them, they have no idea that there's an investigation.
So to paraphrase, you're saying the victims are putting it in a disposition, a negative disposition because of delay.
Yeah.
It's not.
Notifying you.
It depends. So when a DHS referral is made, it goes to DHS. So if we call the 1-800 number, it goes to DHS. If DHS doesn't call me directly, because there's so many of them, not everyone has my work cell phone number, it goes to the district attorney's office. And usually the turnaround for the district attorney's referral takes about 24 hours to get to me. So DHS has already been to that home before I get it. Whereas if that caseworker has my cell phone number, they call me direct. But with overtime and everything, it's a lot harder for me to come in and go do those interviews.
It's not just sex cases. There's other cases that aren't getting the investigatory hours that it should be getting. In other words, we might be giving up in a case, or a case might go cold, or in some cases, we just don't get to, we have to prioritize. Everyone tries to pick up the slack, but what's them gonna get this? They're busy with other stuff.
I'm just,
Yeah, and I've even tried to work some drug cases, but it's kind of hard. As a chief, the DA's office doesn't want you doing that, so. We all try to pitch in, but it's tough.
So this is something we can anticipate continuing in this direction, right? Need for more officers, need for more
I think
time.
as Oakland grows, more people come to town and.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask for another one anytime.
No, but just,
I mean, if the town grows, yeah, there would probably be a need down the road.
I think our busier times are usually when all the camps are here because you have that influx of all the people from out of state who are coming here. You have all the camps.
Right.
Just even personal camps, you have all the kids camps that are here. So you have a lot more traffic on the roadways, a lot more calls coming in
But luckily you have the SROs at that point, right?
when they're here, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, 7 weeks.
Right, Oakland's always been unique as a police department because we've gotten by with less, like Winslow, Fairfield, comparable in size, have more officers than us. They have these swing shifts, so they're always covering shifts. We've always kind of gotten used to working alone. It's not the safest thing in the world, but it's made us better officers, I think, over the years. It's not the safest thing. We've been very lucky, but it's just the way we've always done it. We've gotten by with less. And it's knock on when you get lucky. We've gotten lucky. Period. We've got knock on when you go. Yeah.
Well, I have one request. I think we need to stop bringing things to the budget and council after you've written your budget. It should be included in it.
I
This,
talked about it the first time I came to.
you know, was in the budget. There was a discussion. What's in that tends to be something that happens.
When should I have brought it?
It should have been in here, in these line items, but it's not here.
Um,
When you submit your budget,
right.
I just think moving forward, that should be common standard practice that we do that.
And that's probably my fault because I told them bare bones, no increase, cut where you can. Nothing new. You know, I think Greg wanted to speak to the committee prior to actually adding cuts.
Well, and this
On them.
gave us the opportunity to actually have this discussion, and I certainly learned a lot more about what goes into the work that you're talking
And
about.
I really didn't have any expectations. I just wanted to have a discussion,
Yeah,
whether that was.
Me personally, I think you've done it at the exact right time, the exact right time.
I agree.
Weeks ago, you were sick, when you were supposed to come and talk about this is what the budget has been sealed. And we have to talk about it. We're still playing with numbers on other things. So I think this is, to me, thank you. In reference to bringing it up after the last couple of years, we brought things in for weapons after when you hired lieutenants. Yeah, I got that. I took full blame for that last year.
Yeah, that was your fault.
Because I brought it up and I pushed it, you know, but I'm just saying for protection of our police officers. I thank you for bringing it in. I think it's the exact time we should have brought it. We're discussing this. We're still throwing spaghetti against the wall. We haven't decided on anything yet. This is the right time. Thank you.
What the committee's for.
And I just
Yeah,
appreciate you guys
exactly.
listening to me, because I'm not used to talking in front of groups either. Come on. Kind of made me dig into more of what, because I just deal with it day to day. And it's not something that a lot of people know, the moments that I play.
I gotta say, I've always been against police department and you sold it for them.
Yeah.
Just saying, ask Rick. Ask Rick.
Yeah, I think there's more and more going on in this town than we could ever think of. And we're not prepared.
What's happening? Cross track. I don't believe the drugs.
Yeah, I'm not big on law enforcement, I think so. I think it's definitely like,
I'm sitting, I'll pull in, just sit on, then leave.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, whatever happens, just think, I appreciate you hearing us out.
Right, so. I'll look more in depth at each budget line. If they change anything, I'll keep a list. You know, we cut 5,000 here and 2,000, yeah,
Are we meeting with, Delta?
nobody wanted to.
Oh,
It was on,
It wasn't gonna
it was a potential, but we decided it didn't make any sense because it wasn't going
well,
to change.
can I bring something up?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if this would. Seems to me like if we got us down for, you know. Like a 3-year contract
Yeah.
and they felt stable that we weren't gonna go anywhere and buy us a little time. Okay? And give them a little sense of stability. I mean, we do it with KV caps and the cogs and, you know, the others.
yeah.
But it might just, okay, if we're not losing them, and maybe they'll start doing it with other communities.
Yeah.
Just thought,
Would be, we do that, I assume. Whatever, if we decided to accept the offer for this year, say, fine, we'll accept it, but it's good for 3 years. In return, you get knowledge, you have our business, and in return to us, we get a stable budget that we can work with, and we don't get a big unexpected raise next year. So everybody has a little bit of give and take on it. That might be a good idea.
We have a board meeting soon. So we're gonna call Chris tomorrow.
It sounds like a good idea, but I'm not sure they can give us that guarantee, because they, if 1 or 2 more quit,
Yeah.
they might have to fold,
They might, but at least,
you know,
they might.
it's a good thing to discuss with them.
Well,
Or they can say no.
if the towns hear about it, they might be like, you know, there's a little stability when we stay together.
Right, if everyone says, hey, can we do like a 3-year contract, then at least.
Look at the schools, they try to throw China in to save money, so I'm not sure that worked, but group buying usually works better. MMA, you know what I'm saying?
And I must say, listening to, and I've listened to some of the discussions about what it would cost us to put in our own ambulance service as it stands. And I know there's some towns that say they've done it less expensively, but I'm not very sure that that's, I mean, I'd like to see the numbers further. I do think that probably the best deal for now would be to stay with Delta in terms of what the cost that they've given us, unless somebody, I'm not saying unless we're gonna do or not do. However, from the numbers I heard when we talked about it, other towns are gonna come to that reality probably as well. And if that is the case, then they may find that holding on to Delta and negotiating with them might be a reasonable thing to do. I don't know. But I think we move forward and ask them for that contract. If they fold, they fold. But if they don't, then we got a deal. Something we might be able to live with for more time. If we decide to do our own thing, that's different. That's all fine, but right now we don't have that option, not for this year, for sure. It'll take a long time to put that together.
Right, this year, I think it's obviously out of the bag there, but
Yeah.
if we should definitely still have a committee to look
Oh,
into.
yeah. Let's look at that.
Just because I talked to Chris personally, and he told me once Fairfield and Ben leave, that there's like the $70 isn't gonna be like the cap. Like that won't be the limit, so that tells me it's gonna keep going up.
But as they lose
Right.
towns,
It'll go up even more.
businesses.
Yeah.
So they downsize a little.
Right.
Like they, you know, you don't 26.
Right.
Belong it, you know.
Yeah.
one time.
Which are low costs and stuff, so.
I don't think they're.
Chris was worried about, like, Chris was talking about, he's not sure what point that is where he has to downsize, but they're not there yet, so. Cause he's called me because of the post I posted on Facebook, so. Thanks.
So Dan, was that a motion? Earlier.
There's no direction it was, I don't think we need a motion.
That's good. I'd rather look something in the circle, so just wanted to make sure that it's there what it's saying.
I don't think so, I'll tidy up the budget, I'll send everybody the warrant articles. Prior to next week's meeting, we'll have copies for you at the things. It's going to be at the fire station.
Next week's at five, so Kelly.
Yeah, because it's the council meeting.
Oh.
We're doing it at 6. We'll start the council meeting. We'll vote on the warrant articles. And then, yes.
I would like, so are we sort of, I'm new, so I'm just have to go here with you. So from what you're saying now, and we end the meeting at this moment, that everything that's in this budget is how it's going to be presented, and this is our last sort of discussion tonight of how we might be able to modify things. Is that
We can still modify up until town meeting.
okay? So
I want to bring up what I.
And when we vote on the warrant articles, so what happens is. We go through and read each article. Oh, we need to find a moderator, a guy that tried.
It's already got another commitment that way, so.
You want,
He has another commitment that evening, so,
So there could be somebody who's like certified or something.
I think there's a training for MMA that they do.
but you don't have to.
Be an attorney, like a local attorney that lives in town.
Could be, you could grab somebody in the audience and make them the moderator. It really is not that high.
Make my husband the moderator.
Mayor and moderator.
So next Wednesday, the council will vote, or the budget advisory will vote first. We did change that a couple of years ago. Then the council will vote, and then we'll put in there the little numbers here.
yeah, so just this probably won't go very well. You're looking through things that, I mean, as Dana was saying, there's a few things I believe that we owe the town with our taxes. Roads, police, fire, and school. Those are the four, for me, maybe there's one for others, but those are the big things that I think we have to protect and do a good job with. In looking through some other things here, one of the ones that stands out to me is the library. And I was listening to the presentation that very nice lady gave when she was here. And it sounds a little bit to me like at times it's a very nice place for some people to go and sit and chat and have coffee and do whatever. And I'm sure they do some other stuff too. But this is a pretty big budget. It's $284,000 for a library. And I'm wondering if we could look at that and say, for example, do we really need a children's librarian or an assistant? Can we take away, can we start, well, I mean, we need to pave our roads, we need to pay our cops. We gotta do that. And these are, is this something that's getting productively used by enough people to make this library worth it? And or not? I mean, we have, well, a lot of people are on social media now and you can do about anything you want on TV and many do. It's a really nice thing to have as a library. It's very nice. But is this, are we getting our money's worth out of $284,000? That's a lot. And if we need to have another police officer in town, might we subtract one of these librarians that are $35,000 or $38,000 plus benefits? And do we need to have a car allowance? No, do we need all that? Or not? And maybe we have more limited hours on that. But this is a pretty good sized budget. We need to look for places to be able to pay for things that we absolutely positively do need. And I haven't been to I must say, I haven't been there.
Need to go.
I would like to go, but I do know that a lot of town libraries are underutilized these days because of all these other things that are going on. And we have, school libraries for kids, I assume we still have them. And so forth. So it's just
They do a lot of summer programs. They have a lot of homeschool groups that attend meetings.
So they come and use it to do what? Have a place to meet?
Meet, teach,
Okay.
pick up books, sign around.
Well, that's very nice.
But people also move here because of how well the library's run.
Yeah.
Also,
I
it's an nice,
I figured I'd get shot down. We're looking for some opportunities to balance our budget.
I will say the library is gorgeous.
It may be gorgeous, but is it something that's getting me about this thing?
Before, not necessarily working, I've been there.
Okay, all right.
But I'm just saying, I do enjoy the library and I think they do a lot of good things for at least the children. I don't know, it's children, adult.
Town office.
Our famous.
I think it would be a very unpopular place to do.
I agree.
I would suggest that you stop into the library and say hi.
I would. I plan to. I'm not anti. Necessarily.
You may have questions afterwards, but.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of old people use it. It's a free place it's one of the few free places you can go and hang out and be with other people. That is not a retail outlet or a restaurant where you have to buy something.
Right.
It also allows you to get books out using like online things as well.
Yeah.
All right.
For people that are readers.
That's Jeremy, a few years ago, I would have agreed with you on that, but I think it's a very well-run organization up there now. A few years ago, at Children, we had a librarian that sat on her butt down their office, nobody ever saw her. That,
Okay.
I got criticized pretty highly by the library group for suggesting we had not ever. Because she didn't do anything. She wasn't like our librarian now, who anytime you go in, she's up there on the floor waiting on people and running the library. She's not hiding it that often. We should run it out because it's unused now. It's unused where the other lady used to hide in there for the day.
That was Dana Dana Wrigley.
I told her, don't worry about it. But I think it's a very well-run organization now. We need it not, I mean, that anybody can have their own opinion on that. They do a lot of nice things.
Right, just asking questions.
And well, if you don't ask. I don't know, this is, I want to bring up my idea of increasing the dump sticker fee as well. You know, we need $70,000 to help cover, that'd be at a $40 or a $30 dump sticker fee, we'd raise $50,000 right there. So
Yeah, I would have a meeting soon.
we need to find some more ways to help. We just think about some ways to, yeah, personally, I mean, I use the dump, I go there all the time and bring stuff over there, and I love it, but I would be happy to pay some money to sort of paying your fair share versus the people that have to pay a lot more money to have to pick up. So, like
In our house as well.
what's that?
So in our house as well, we'd be fine to pay a bit more. Anything else?
I thought you adjourned.
I did.
I think I've said enough.
Okay.
Fantastic.